Hello everybody, it's Keith. Help support the Northeast scene and declare yourself a member today. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or your podcast medium of choice. Rate us and leave a review. Every little bit helps. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It has every podcast episode plus other exclusive content. Like and leave a comment. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TheNEScene. Also, continue to write us at northeastscene@gmail.com. We want to share your experiences as well. And now, here's the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Northeast Scene Podcast. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
And we're back. And tonight we have a very special guest on the show. Someone we've been trying to get on the show pretty much since the inception of the show, Tommy.
Yeah, for sure.
A very special guest, Bucks County legend, Doug Sabolick of Ecstatic Vision. And of course, he was in A Life Once Lost before that. He's got some other things going on. He's had a rich and storied musical career. He's had a very interesting life. He's got a very interesting setup in Philadelphia that we just saw recently, and we're going to cover it all. And I'm very excited, Tommy.
I'm excited too because actually we were talking about this before the show. I forget how I met Doug. I feel like it was through skateboarding, but it might have been through skateboarding and music. I want to hear what Doug's version of it is. I just remember rolling up to his house and we were like, let's go skate. And he was like, yeah, hold on a second. And his dad was like, no, we're mixing concrete. Hold on a sec. We're going to mix up this concrete real fast. And I was like, oh, okay. Yes, we're mixing concrete. Sounds like a plan. And then we'll go skate.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I met him at the first time I saw Life Once Lost. I met him. It was at the fateful Doug Stock show that got shut down. And then he kicked everybody out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about that and all kinds of other stuff. So what's going on? Now, Tommy, Furnace Fest is coming up. Tommy, can you believe that the person I was going to go with bailed out today, a week from the fest? Now, I don't want to reveal who, because it is a friend of ours, but I have to say I'm very disappointed. And yeah, man, I've never been on a vacation by myself like this. I have to say, if Vadim wasn't going, I don't think I'd go, because I don't know anybody down there.
I actually remember I texted you this earlier today. I was like, I've never been anywhere like on a vacation or anything like by myself.
Yeah.
It would just be I think part of it would be cool because it's an entirely new experience for me, because it would be like I'm used to like watching 3 kids and my wife and I talking. Like, to be alone and somewhere new would be 2 very new experiences all at the same time. I don't know if it would be overwhelming and I'd be like not know what to do with myself, or would I be like so ecstatic about it that I would be like, oh, this is great. I can't like, and I would be like, like almost like that kind of manic, like I can't wait to do everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd feel until I got there, but.
Well, I can tell you for sure I'm not going to feel manic. I just know that. But I mean, there's a lot of great bands playing. I imagine I can meet a few of the people we've spoken to on this podcast. Vadim will be there. And if worse comes to worse, I can just stand there and watch a band.
Yeah, I mean, literally every band we love is playing. Like the stuff we grew up loving, they're all there. So, I mean, I think there's part of it is it's an experience. And at the same time, I'm really glad to hear you're flying there and not driving.
Oh, that's another thing. That's why I'm not too mad. Because now instead of being in a car driving for however long it takes to drive from the Northeast to Birmingham, I can just fly. Yeah.
That made me, like, when you were like, we're going to drive, I was like, you sure?
Yeah, it didn't sound too appealing, but I'm sure it would have been fun in its own way.
Oh, yeah.
But I see this as a trade-off. I have to go by myself now. So now I'm wondering, like, did this person ever even buy a ticket? Like, what's going on? I'm my mind is going 100 miles per hour.
Oh.
But the trade-off is I get to fly now, and that's a lot easier. And I don't know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Do you like flying?
No. I got to fly tomorrow. I have to get up at 4 in the morning tomorrow, Tommy, to fly to Boston.
Can't you just take the train? Isn't there like an Acela line you can take?
The train, Amtrak is like 4 hours
Oh, Jesus.
to Boston. Yeah, something like that. 3 or 4 hours. A flight is only an hour. It's like under an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, that's a really short flight. Fuck.
Yes, I'm going to be there for work. I will be at the home of Converge and Cave In and Vane and Killswitch Engage and Jesuit, and maybe I'll run into all of them and I can ask them to come on the show together.
Or you could be like, hey, you guys want to go meet me at Furnace Fest?
They'll be like, no.
No. But yeah, how have you been? Besides that devastating news.
Well, how have I been? It's been a stressful couple weeks, but I as I alluded to in the last episode, I've made some life decisions and a couple minor changes and talked to some people, and I have restabilized, Tommy. Not that anything was really wrong. It was just stressful. Like I ran into some people I didn't want to run into, and that caused some problems. It made me feel bad, but I have rearranged things so that I will not run into these people anymore, and that's going to solve everything.
We had a nice conversation after last week's show about how mature you've been about this and how proud I was. Like it was very it's not I still like I really cherish the friendship we have because we do get to talk about things that are really bothering us. Yes. And some of it makes the show, some of it doesn't. But that was one of those times where I'm like I literally turned off my computer and I said out loud, I'm so glad I'm friends with Keith. I'm so glad we get to have those conversations, man.
Yeah, we shut off the mic and I told you everything that was going on. And folks, I'm sorry if it's annoying if we're being elusive. Yeah. When it involves the personal business of other people, I don't like to reveal everything, but there's some people that I don't want to run into, and I had to rearrange a couple things to make sure I don't run into them anymore, and I've done that, and everything's going to be cool. I'm stressed out because there's a lot going on. Work is really busy. Podcast is really busy. Furnace Fest next week. Oh, and there's been so much socialization lately. I have a volunteer thing I'm doing every other Friday night, and it's like hosting a show, so it's almost like another podcast. You know what I mean? So there's that. There's another one Saturday I might be getting involved with. There's a lot of dinners with friends and hanging out, and I'm not used to it, Tommy. I'm not used to it, and it's stressful because like I'm out, and I don't know, I just get anxious, but it's good. It's good. It's good to be out and about and so busy that you're just tired all the time. That's a good thing.
I actually was going to say, I love like this weekend. It was just, everything was just not rushed, but there was a lot to get done. And I got in bed on Friday night after doing I do the grocery shopping Friday nights most times. So I came home. The girls were just finishing up watching TV at like 9:15. Got them upstairs, got them to bed. Saturday was just nonstop. Costco, transferring the title on my car, all kinds of errands to run, lawn to get mowed, weed whacking to do, weeds to pick, playing with the girls, sidewalk chalk, you name it. We were doing it. Riding bikes, went to the park, everything. I got in bed Saturday night and I felt like I had the flu. I was so, that like overwhelming tired that you get when you're sick, where you can hardly keep your eyes open.
Yes.
It was like that, but it was from it was just from being awake. I'd gone to the skate park Saturday morning at got up like 6:30 or 6, and I got to the skate park at like 6:30 when sunrise was there. It was fucking nonstop, and it was like the best feeling in the world. Like I thought about like when I used to get in bed and I'd be like, God, I need a drink. I'm not even tired. And I would go downstairs and like make myself like a vodka tonic. And I'm like, what's even better than that? Actually being real tired, like really tired, but from doing and accomplishing things. That made me feel infinitely better than any amount of alcohol ever has.
Yeah. When I get to that point, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't go outside anymore. I can't live anymore. I just don't have the energy. I'm not going to make it. And then I sleep and I'm like, all right, I'll do it again.
It's the internal conversation you have with yourself all the time of like, I can't do it. I can't do it. It has to get done. Okay, I'll do it. Like it's just, you just constantly go through those motions of like God, I don't want to do this. And it that stress mounts. And then finally it comes to this crescendo and you're like, all right, that actually wasn't as bad. I can do that again. And then you go through the same process every time you encounter that.
You just summed up us recording the podcast every week. Every week I'm like, I can't do it. I can't edit it. There's no time. I can't. And then I just do it. And then we do it again and again and again.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal feeling. I don't have anything to say. I was going to try to make something up that
I love it. I see the thought process in real time. You're like, I'm like, he's got nothing. Is he going to run with it? Or is he just going to admit he's got nothing?
That was an immediate car crash. Like, that was just like, nope, not happening.
Well, I have something for you guys next, and you're really going to like it. Now we're going to talk to Doug Sabolick of Ecstatic Vision. Enjoy. All right, folks, we're here now with Doug Sabolick. Doug, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Oh, I'm excellent. And it's great to have you here, Doug. You know, we've been trying to get you on this show for over a year now. There's been back and forth conversations with managers, agents, phone calls, sit-down dinners, negotiations, but we finally got you here, and we're very excited to talk to you tonight.
It's court ordered, so, you know.
Well, we'll take it. So how are you doing today?
I am well today. Everything is great.
Are you at a Casa de Doug in Philly?
Yes, I am. I'm in my palace.
Now, Tommy and I were extremely impressed when we saw your house. It's just like, it's the best setup. It's isolated from other houses. You got everything custom made in there. It was, Tommy and I were driving back and I was like, yo, should I move back to Philly? Like, I could potentially buy property. I can't do it here in New York City.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's affordable if you got the kahunas to get the people out before you, you know.
Now, you have to tell some of that story because the incredible story of you acquiring the house and kicking out the squatters who lived in it was great.
Yeah, well, I got a really good deal on the house and there's no neighbors and I was feeling the vibe around the town. And yeah, there was like meth dealers living in the place. So it was just like, it was on me to get them out if I wanted to buy it. So it was like some intimidation, some money, some harassment, and then voila, you know.
Were they resistant to get out of the house? How far did you have to push it?
Well, I mean, I didn't really get too crazy. I mean, the craziest I got is maybe just kind of preparing for something bad to happen and then running over a bunch of his stuff in the I threw a bunch of this stuff in the street and ran it over.
How did he react to this?
He wasn't happy about that. We weren't friends after that, but we were kind of buddies up until that point.
So how did you finally get them out of the house so that you could begin making it your own?
Well, I filed some court paperwork and then I paid him some money, basically, is the end result, you know.
Can we set the scene of what Doug's house looks like? And I'm going to use my mother's description. When I showed my mom some of the pictures from the interior of the house, my mom goes, it looks like a really nice antique caboose from an old train. Like it's really like narrow, but it's like ornate woodwork all over the place. The floors are gorgeous. You have everything kind of that late 60s, early 70s, like your refrigerators or old Philco refrigerator. Like it's fucking wild, dude. You did such an amazing job on it. Like it really, like when I walked in, I was just like, this is Doug. Like everything about it screamed you. It was fucking on point.
Well, thank you. Shit. I mean, I was working with Chicken, so I mean, he's the one that had the the ideas for everything. So I was doing the grunt work, but yeah, we made it happen. So it's cool. I wanted a pimp palace and that's what I got.
Oh yeah. 100% success there. It's great. Well, Doug, let's take it back a bit. Let's get to know you. Tell us about where you grew up.
This is why I really didn't want to do this podcast, but
I know. That's why we're going through it, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to hit all the points.
I just love you guys so much. So, yeah, I grew up in Trevas, man.
That's the real deal.
Yeah. It was an old chicken coop that my dad turned into a house. You know, that was the deal. Moved around. my dad had this thing where we would move a mile away from our old house.
Yeah.
So, he'd like find a house with more sunlight. So we would like be like, we're moving. I'm like, all right. So we did that like 3 times. And then eventually, I was in college at that point. So I left.
Tommy, don't you live like across the street from where one of Doug's houses were?
I can see Doug's backyard from my back porch.
Yeah, I was happy to hear when you ended up living on that block because it was pretty cool,
It like the parks there, basketball courts, fucking big soccer fields. It's a nice place, man. I fucking love raising my kids here.
It's a bougie spot for you to have your family, bro.
So, Doug, are the legends true? Did your dad like pretty much build these houses by hand?
Well, the first one, yeah, he built, and then he just kind of like the one near Tommy's house was kind of funny because he built this giant deck, and then he proceeded to plant like 100 trees in the front lawn.
Oh yeah.
Because he didn't really like people like being able to see him when he's like hanging out in his like Daisy Dukes on the,
This is my first memory of coming to hang out with you. Is I rolled up to the house, the one on Heights Lane, right?
Yep.
And we were gonna go skate, and your dad was cooking bacon, and he was like, "Hey, you want some bacon and eggs?" I was like, "Sure." Made me breakfast, and we were like, "All right, we're gonna head out." And your dad was like, "No,
tomatoes, right?"
No, with tomatoes, and then fucking we had to mix like 4 bags of Quickcrete because he was redoing one of the front steps and then one of the the parking blocks out front.
Oh shit, I don't remember that, but I remember tomatoes being a thing,
Tomatoes, what? Was he growing them or something?
Yeah, he would grow them, and then it would just be like some buddies would come over and be like, "We're gonna eat tomato sandwiches,"
Yeah.
Doug, tell us about how you got into music. What was your first love? What got you into guitar? Set the stage for us.
My dad was a one-man band. That was his career, so I was always around it. And I think guitar for me was the anti-music thing for me because I never like officially got trained on the guitar, whereas other instruments I was like taking lessons or whatever,
What other instruments were you taking lessons with?
Cello and trumpet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I changed high schools and I realized that being in the band was kind of nerdy and I was done with it.
So how did you learn how to play guitar?
I just picked it up and just tried my best, really.
Same here. I figured out basic tabs and I just ran with it.
I mean, I'm still trying now, I mean, compared to like people who have a natural ability, I'm always like kind of a little stiff, but I put a lot of work in. So it kind of works out in the end,
Tell us about getting into extreme music. I always knew you as like a metalhead. Was it metal first?
Yeah, it was like Black Sabbath and Slayer, and then like I don't know, I always liked shit that other people didn't really like at the time, and even now it's like the stuff that I'm into other people aren't, so it kind of leads to a life of musical obscurity as far as if you're trying to play music for a living or as a really strong hobby. But so the heavy shit, it just kind of like spoke to me. I was like, if you're out there like breaking stuff, vandalizing or stealing shit, I mean, heavy music kind of just lends that, kind of gets your adrenaline going.
So were you out there breaking shit, vandalizing and stealing?
Well, everyone was, yeah. I'm not blowing it up like I'm some god, but no, everyone was doing it.
Do you remember before you went on tour, you guys didn't have a spare for the van, so we went into that industrial park and stole that spare off a van that looked kind of like yours? They had like, like the one of the like the spares
on the back.
Yeah. And I remember you guys went on tour. And then I came home one day from, I think I was in high school. I came home and my mom was like, "There's a bunch of messages on the answering machine for you." And I was like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Just listen to them." It was like Vadim and then you, and then I think maybe Bob calling me being like, "Yo, we're stuck in Rochester, bro. The fucking wheel fell off the van." Like, I was like,
yeah.
Well, I don't think I can come and get you. I don't even remember how you guys got home, but I remember.
I think it was like maybe the girlfriend of Vadim at the time gave us a ride. And I was like, my legs were in the trunk, but I was like laying down. So my legs were in the trunk and I was in the like backseat area.
Backseat, like laying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I mean, whatever. That was good times,
That's just run of the mill when you're young and touring like that.
It was a good time. It was a good story,
Wasn't it the wrong size wheel on the van?
Well, I don't remember now. I mean, I don't know. I just remember we were driving down the street and we're on the highway, and then the wheel like rolls by.
Yes, you.
It was crazy, man.
What happens? Like, does the van like topple to one side, and you see you hear grinding or something? Like what?
I think that happened to us twice. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like, which is crazy because usually, that happens once and you flip the van. But yeah, I think like twice that happened where the wheel fell off the van. But it's always been the back wheel. So we always kind of like cheated the system,
So, Doug, tell us about discovering the hardcore scene. What were some of the initial shows and the initial bands that first drew you in?
Like Creationist Crucifixion, that was the shit back in the day,
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
And that's a band that when I moved, my mom was like, "Hey, you have to get all your stuff out of our old house." I'm like, I went up there, and I think Tommy, I gave you some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I had all these like CDs from when I was like 20, and like I still put that Creationist Crucifixion album in. I was like, it's still good, So, not to say I don't really listen to heavy music that much, but it's got to be good,
Yeah, I mean, some of it doesn't hold up. Some of it does. That Creation album, if we're talking about Automata, those songs are just classic, timeless.
Yeah, it's a band that never got its due,
So Creation is Crucifixion. What else?
Oh, shit.
I remember you being really big into Candiria.
Yeah, I like them. They were good. I mean, I like the albums. I think like A Life Once Lost, we took some kind of ideas from them. And Candiria, and I don't know. I think I remember like it was all phases of everything. It was like at one point you're like into like Slayer and all this shit, and then you get into like hardcore. You're like, oh, that stuff's not cool, and then you realize like, well, actually, it is cool.
Yeah.
It's actually good. But there was it's hard to even remember that long ago as far as what I was into. But I know it was always like pretty extreme. Discordance Axis. I remember I liked them a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the tides shift when you're young a lot. It's weird. It's like 1 minute it's like we're into this, and then it's like, no, we don't listen to that anymore. We're on to this. And then it's just like back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, you just kind of like find out who you are, I mean, back then it was like the music that you liked kind of like was who you were, even though now it really isn't like that. But it was like, oh, I look like Spock and I listen to these bands,
Yeah, there was like the hardcore kids. There was like the grindy Spock kids. There was all these different factions.
I don't think any of us ever really fit into one neat spot. That was the thing, is like we would all kind of just fucking hang. Like I don't ever remember anybody being like, oh yeah, that's like a fucking Orchid. That dude's into Orchid, or like that. I remember seeing people at shows being like, that dude's a fucking dork. Like that's like why would you fucking dress like your pants are too tight, or what are you doing? Like, but that's also
a bit judgmental, but.
But that's like, I feel like everything, like especially back then, that was kind of like, that was what we did. Like we teased each other about what, like, oh, you listen to this or you wear stuff like that, and give each other a hard time about shit. Like I don't think, like I hear my kids at school like fucking talking shit about like their football teams that play each other and stuff like that, and I kind of like step away from it. Like good for them. Like still people giving each, like friends giving each other shit about stuff that they like.
We were ruthless, man. I remember when I would bring people over to Mike Shaw's house, and folks, you've heard us talk about Mike Shaw's house. It was like the center for all of the music people hanging out. When I would bring people over there that were outside of that kind of micro scene, they hated it. They were like, I don't know, it was just like too insulated or something. People felt very on the outside. And on top of that, I don't know, I used to be vicious, like how I made fun of people and different things. It was, I guess you do that when you're young, though.
It was cruel, man.
Yeah.
I remember wearing certain things, and somebody would make a really good joke about something, and then I would be like, well, I can never wear that again. Like I remember I came to a show, and I was wearing like a leather gauntlet on my arm, and it wasn't big, but it was like, the size of like a wristwatch, right? And it was like kind of wide. And I remember McGonagall was like, the fuck are you, like a falconer now? What the fuck is that leather on your arm for? And I was like, all right, well, I can never wear that again. Great. that was $30 I wasted.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
No, you're not.
Tommy, I think you should try to bring it back.
Oh,
Bring
no.
it back, bro.
Try it out again, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I'm never like I don't even think I could put it on. I don't have it, first of all, but if I put it on, I instant like chills of like, ugh, who you are at your core is a terrible idiot. Like you're just you let people decide what you think is cool based on like them making a well-placed joke.
I'm thinking of introducing a little jewelry into my look, some accessories. What do you think of like a couple rings or something?
Yeah,
think
you
I
got
can pull that off?
I think you could do like a mid-level hanging necklace, because I've seen you recently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I had like a thumb ring and a pinky ring, and then like one of those necklaces, I think it would really top off the look.
If you had a hanging earring from one of your ears, I think you would look pretty hip too.
That's a bold move. I'm gonna have to sleep on that one.
Doug, you got that style. Like you have the eye for that. What should I add to my kind of like? What should I wear as terms of accessories?
All right. Well, first of all, you should stop doing so many push-ups so your chest doesn't stand out that big. And then lose the baseball cap.
I'm bald.
I think you could wear like tight-fitting polo shirts. You know, like, and have like that kind of like that look,
that Fred Perry kind of look, like that kind of thing.
I think you could do well with that.
All right,
you got a good body, man. You know, show it off.
Yeah, folks, we were all hanging out in Philadelphia recently, and everyone was marveling at how big Tommy's arms are, and we're like, what do you do? He's like, push-ups. I'm like, bro, I do push-ups every day. I don't look like even a tenth as close as to what you are.
Well, that's years of.
Yeah.
Do you do 500 push-ups a day, Tommy?
No. I only do push-ups 3 days a week, and when I do them, I literally set the timer on my phone for 20 minutes, and I do as many as I can in 20 minutes.
You can keep doing them for 20 minutes?
No. Like I'll do as many as I can, and then take a breather until I know I can do more. Like maybe a minute and a half, and then I'll do as many as I can, and I do that till literally when I do my last push up of my last set, I can't push up anymore.
Yeah,
like
that's what I do.
Everything's gone. Like there's no strength left.
Doug, do you do any push-ups?
A little bit, yeah.
You look pretty fit. What do you do, Doug? What's your regimen?
Well, we built the house, so it kind of got me in shape.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Do you watch what you eat? Do you have a strict diet or anything like that?
Well, I got a really hot girlfriend. I'm just trying to look good for her, you know.
There you go.
I want to know your secrets, Doug, because you have a good look.
Well, thank you. I don't know. It must be somewhat natural.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You've got that natural swagger. So, Doug, was A Life Once Lost the first band that you played in?
First real band, yeah. I had a previous band called Crucifixion.
Yeah.
And I think we played one or two shows.
What was that band like?
Oh, man, I don't even know. They were really into Black Sabbath, and I was like trying to get them to go a little bit heavier, but it wasn't good.
Tell us about the beginning of A Life Once Lost. How did it all come together? How did you get involved?
I think through Vadim, because he was like, we met through skateboarding. I think I moved, the mile away thing, and then I had to change schools, and we worked at Taco Bell together, and we would just kind of skateboard, and he was starting a band, so I just kind of like was seeing what's up,
So you guys actually met at that Taco Bell?
I don't know where we met. It was so long ago, but we worked together there. Like, I think he might have got me the job though, so we must have already known each other.
Okay, because I remember that place was legendary because you guys worked there.
Yeah, there was some hell raising going on,
Oh, big time.
Nothing is better than the Pizza Hut that you guys worked at over by the Kmart.
Now we're getting into my whole job history, man, guys.
Yo, I just remember I walked into Pizza Hut one night and Jay was there and he was like, gotta go. And I was like, why? And I was like, all right, whatever. And I walked out and I remember I think I saw you the next day and you were like, yo, Zivlev shot a gun off at Pizza Hut. Or behind Pizza Hut through a bunch of
I don't know if it was him, but they were shooting guns in there. they would line up like all the unfolded pizza boxes, against the wall.
And see how many would go through.
They would shoot the gun in there, and it would get to the point where they knew. And then like for like weeks we'd be serving pizzas with like, it didn't look like a gunshot. It was more of a tear.
Yeah.
But
it's like Stand By Me, but in real life.
No. And I remember I went in one day and there was because it was all takeout only. And when I went in a lot, Doug was driving delivery and Jay was I guess running it, kind of like he was like the manager, I guess.
Yeah.
And I remember I went in and like walked behind the counter and you were making a pizza. You were using that big like that U-shaped pizza cutter thing to like cut up a pizza. And I was like, what's up? And you're like, yo, everybody's in back. And I walked in back and literally Jay is sitting on a recliner like a fucking lazy boy, just smoking a bowl. I was like, hilarious. I was like, there's fucking customers coming in and shit. Like, what the fuck?
I think I worked at like 3 or 4 different ones. Like I'd come in and then they'd be shut down within like 6 months.
So we're in A Life Once Lost. We're writing music. We're playing, right? What are some of your influences at that time? What are you trying to replicate? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was like when there was like some cool metal or hardcore going on in Europe. And then there was like the band like Undying was an influence early on, and also like Creation. So we were just kind of melding that, I think.
It was a unique sound because most of the bands going around at that time were more on the metallic hardcore side, and A Life Once Lost was more on the metal side. And I remember Vadim used to get upset. We'd be like, "That you're a metal band," and he'd be like, "No, we're not. No, we're not." And it was kind of funny in retrospect. But I thought it was really interesting. There was more metal elements. You had some like finger tapping in those early songs. I really liked what was going on. It was different from the other stuff that was happening.
Yeah, it didn't really stand the test of time, but I mean, at the time, it was cool.
So I just remember like the mentality Doug always had with music was like things were cool until they weren't. And I remember he was just like, he got so sick of their like the song that everybody wanted to hear, which was Just Before His Crucifixion. And I remember like coming out one night, you guys had played at Palanca, I think, and you were just like, that's the last time we're fucking playing that song. Like, I'm fucking over it. I was like, yo, really? Everybody loves that song. You're like, that I fucking hate it.
That's why I'm so obscure now, you know what I mean?
It's always been that same trajectory, though, of like, you're like, people like it, and you're like, fuck that shit.
I've always been not that I consider that good, but I just mean like I've always been like, oh, I'm into this now, and I'm going to try and kind of experiment with whatever that is. And then once I've kind of done what I feel like I can do, I just kind of move on. Yeah. And then, it's good in a way as far as like life and shit.
Yeah. Is it a natural inclination? What you feel you've accomplished something and it's time to move on to the next? Or if a bunch of people are latching on to something, do you naturally think like, oh, it's time for me to get away from this and get on to something else?
I wish I could like stick with it longer.
Yeah.
Because like, maybe it would be more successful or something, but I don't know. I like for the past like 10 years, I just had a job, so I'm like, okay, I can make my money, and the music for me can always be about pure, just what I want to do at the time. And that's why I've been able to kind of recreate, as I go. And like, sometimes it's been, good, or sometimes whatever, it's been okay. But, that's what it's more been about for me. So it's not about like, oh, it's like when I DJ, I play like, I've been playing like Afro funk for 10 years in Philly, and no one really was like on my kind of wavelength, as far as like being like, oh man, I really like, I'm into that too. And I'm like, no, I just kind of DJ, and it would be whoever comes in and out, and now it's like, oh man, this stuff's so cool. I'm like, yeah, I know it's cool. I'm still on that, I'm not a hater about it. So
I respect that, because for too long I kind of shaped what I did around maybe what I thought would be acceptable to other people, or if I was into something I thought was not quote unquote cool, maybe I kept that a little more hidden. But as I get into my older age, I'm like, this is what I like, and fuck you. You're with me on the ride or not.
Yeah, you don't want to do it for other people. Yeah. I've never, it's always been about what I wanted to do.
Yeah, if there's one person I can say that it's just always about what you wanted to do and not worrying about anybody else, it's definitely you, Doug.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say. But, I have done stuff like the last Life Once Lost album. I was like left, everyone left the band after we signed a deal. So I would say at the time, maybe that's not necessarily what I wanted to do. I was already kind of launching another band at the time. But I did that because I'm a loyal friend.
Yeah, so you have a deal with Season of Mist, and everybody has left the band except for you and Bob, right?
Yeah, on that record, yeah.
Now, I lived with you at the time that record was being written. I remember hearing that whole thing come together from you playing demos in your bedroom to seeing that residency at Kung Fu Necktie where you played all those songs for the first time. And I have to say, it was pretty incredible to witness that whole thing.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. That's just what hard work does, I don't think it was great or good or whatever. At this point, I don't really have any kind of feelings towards it as far as like, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I think it was fine. That's just what you do. I mean, if you want to make an album, there's a lot of work involved,
Tell us a little bit about that time. Were you nervous? Did you think, oh, shit, I can't do this without a band? Because, I mean, was that the first time you wrote a whole record by yourself?
I was always writing a lot for the band. And also I was like a big, like kind of like vibe idea man. But I mean, like Bob Carpenter is like a machine playing the guitar, so I was kind of relied on this guy who could play everything like really clean. But so that, once he quit, that was like the hardest blow because like we were already going to kind of trying to do this kind of industrial sounding album. So the drums weren't really a problem. And that's kind of part of the reason the drummer probably quit. I don't know. But yeah, like doing one without Bob was definitely hard. So it took a while,
So you don't have any feeling looking back on the legacy of that album?
I don't really have any, no, I mean, it's just something I did at the time.
Were you happy with the way that it ultimately came out?
I think, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but at the time I was definitely happy with it. I mean, obviously you would go back and like, you could nitpick and be like, well, if I had more time, which, yeah, I was kind of under the gun. So I made that album, as fast as I could. And maybe if I had another couple more months to listen back, I would have maybe changed some shit, but it is what it is, like the label really, really loved the album, and that was like the guy who discovered Mayhem, I mean, like he really, really liked the album. So we're still friends and, it's fine.
Well, Doug, from an outsider perspective, I can tell you that that's one of the albums that I go back to when I listen to the band. So I like it, and I want you to know that.
Well, thank you.
Do you ever go back and listen to that band? Do you have any kind of connection to it still?
Not really, no. I never even think about it. I don't even really talk. I mean, I'm going to talk to you guys about it because, I care about you.
Yes.
And we appreciate that.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's not I'm always thinking about the future, man. Like next year I have so many tours lined up and I have like a lot of shit going on. And I'm like, I'm just trying to juggle my life even to be able to like pull everything off. Like I don't have time to worry about the past.
I would say the whole time I've known you, Doug, there's always a lot of progression, whether it be in the sound of A Life Once Lost or whether it be with music that you're into and all that kind of thing. There was always a forward momentum of you figuring out who you are. So I don't even think of you in terms of A Life Once Lost anymore. Like it almost seems like not real at this point. You know
it's
what I'm saying? It's
kind of like a past life. It's like 20 years ago, So.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's a different person. Like sitting with you on your back porch last month, I remember being like, you're a completely different entity.
Oh shit. Well, I mean, that could be good or bad,
No,
but...
I mean that in the most positive way possible. It's like, I like the way you were saying, like you are always forward thinking. Like you're also, when you're forward thinking, you're also kind of just getting rid of the things that don't mean anything to you anymore. And a lot of people carry that stuff with them and let their lives present day be defined by things they did 20 years ago. Whereas you're like, yeah, that was 20 years ago. Fuck it.
Yeah. I have a cold heart about that. I can drop things like that don't mean anything to me, over time because I want to move forward, and you meet people that are kind of interested in what you are doing at the time. And then you try and forge new relationships, or new interests. And you try and like kind of build something from there,
So let's talk about the end of A Life Once Lost and the beginning of Ecstatic Vision. So you have this album on Season of Mist, Ecstatic Trance. You're touring.
No, we did a little bit of touring. We weren't like going hard at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So take us through your mindset at the time. Did you want to continue the band? Did you think the band would continue for a long time? What was going on?
I think one of the problems I've had that's been reoccurring, even though earlier I just said I can drop things out of my life, no problem. I'm also like a really loyal friend. Sometimes I just kind of drag shit on too long. Like in other parts of my life and everything, it's just like, I don't know, you're always like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to fuck people over. So you keep doing it. Yeah, I already had like half of an album done with Ecstatic Vision, kind of. It's like before the last The Life Once Lost album, I was already doing another band. And then I kind of put that on hold. You know what I mean? So, you know, that was kind of a long time coming, you know, the next band.
Was that was the band I saw at Jay's shop, right? That was Snake Sustain. Was that the same idea?
Yeah, which like, you know, not the same band, but
Same idea.
yeah, and that was like in 2010. I think Ecstatic Trance came out in 2012. So I was kind of already doing other shit. And also, I mean, it's like when you're kind of growing up, you think, oh, I only got time for one band or I have to be this kind of, but it's like nowadays I got many different things going on, you know?
So ultimately, how did A Life Once Lost come to an end? Was there a conversation? Did you have to get together and just say, this is it? What happened?
Oh, well. Well, also, there was no real interest in the band. So why, you know, why beat a dead horse? That's number one thing. But also, it's just kind of like, you know, you've been in bands with people for so long, it becomes more of a interpersonal problems, you know? So it's just kind of like, had enough with that, you know?
Do you ever get asked about reunions or anything like that? Or is there any interest from people?
I'm sorry.
There is no interest.
Do fans reach out to you, Doug, and say, we need an A Life Once Lost reunion?
Well, the one thing is I've always been a ghost on social media. You know, I never had a real profile where anyone ever really knew it was me. I mean, yeah, they could reach out to Ecstatic Vision and you could reach me, but no one even really, there's no crossover crowd, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I might be the only one.
yeah, you're just an old friend. I don't really have kind of any of that, you know, which proves that it really is not a big deal.
So it sounds like there's no vested interest in any type of revisiting of that band.
Not for me personally, no.
So that I just wanted to clarify that. So folks, if you're clamoring for an A Life Once Lost reunion with Doug, it looks like he's busy with other things, which we want to get into now. So you're working on Ecstatic Vision in parallel with the last A Life Once Lost record.
Yeah, I made a demo for Ecstatic Vision, and I went on tour with my buddy, Author and Punisher, who's like kind of an industrial guy. And I was doing his lights, and I was just kind of like passing out the demo on the road. And it must have did something because, you know, like Relapse hit me up and they wanted to put the record out. They wanted to put the demo out, which was pretty crazy, but we did a new record for them.
So were you nervous fronting a band? I know this wasn't the first time because you had dipped your toe in the water with Snake Sustain, but I mean, were you nervous being at the center of this thing now, doing vocals by yourself, being the primary songwriter again?
I mean, the songwriting wasn't really the issue, but, you know, like singing for a band, I mean, like, you know, first of all, I don't have an angelic voice, you know, so I had to kind of figure out what my thing was, you know, so it's kind of like, you know, when you start a new band and you're trying a new thing, you just kind of do what doesn't make anyone cringe. So that was kind of my idea about the vocals on the early shit is like, just don't make anyone cringe, you know? So get by on the vocals and then make it about the guitar playing, you know?
Yeah, and when I think about the essence of you, Doug, I think about everything you're doing now, the more psychedelic rock thing and all that interesting music that you're into. Like, I really love that one song you turned me on to that you covered. It was on the Ecstatic Vision covers record, the Troublemaker song.
Oh, yeah, like some Zamrock.
Yeah, all like when I think of you, I think of all that stuff. Like A Life Once Lost and all the metal stuff and all that previous stuff is, like we mentioned, is almost another lifetime that doesn't seem real. Tell us how you got into all that. Like, when did you really start to discover and love it and make that your primary thing?
Well, primary influence as far as the music I was creating, maybe it was like, you know, all the Detroit rock and stuff like that. You know, that's what Snake Sustain was doing. So, And then getting into the more psychedelic krautrock and all that, like we would listen to that stuff in the van kind of. And I was like, I kind of want to move on and kind of do something that I like at this time. And then I guess that was like 2000, like 10 or 11 or 12, somewhere around there, And then just kind of running with it. I don't know. You get into something and you just kind of keep digging. And there's like some, the old head rock DJs in Philly. The guard has kind of changed as far as the DJ scene in Philly, but there is an old guard of rock DJs and, just kind of like going to the bar, drinking, listening to music, and then like befriending those guys. And they kind of open up your world,
Talking about Jackie Bam Bam.
Oh, I'm talking about DJs.
No,
bars,
I know you're. I'm teasing.
Jackie Bam Bam.
He was like the classic rock kind of like he was like a YSP dude.
I'm pretty sure I prank called him a bunch, back in the day.
All right, so we've got Ecstatic Vision going. We've got the demo. Relapse wants to sign us, right? So tell us about writing that first record. Now, that was an extremely strong debut. Astral Plane. I mean, come on, that is a fucking jam, dude.
Well, that was the first track I wrote for the band, so I kind of really took my time on it. It's all about timing, really. The problem, like now, is like it's such a rat race with music. In order to kind of stay relevant, I mean, you put out an album and people might hear about it for like a month and then it's gone. It's like all these bands have this kind of build up. Like, oh, once the album drops, it's like, dude, once the album drops, it's gone. The blip in the radar is past. So time to go for the new thing because you're not going to blow up, or you do. I don't know. It's never been my experience, but I had more time to make that album. And then every other one since, it's just kind of like I had a really busy 5 years, like after that album, as far as like going on tour, coming home, making a record nonstop for like probably 3.5 years, and then, or maybe 5 years, I don't know. But, then the pandemic happened and I'm like, oh, it's nice to have a little downtime, like to figure out who I am.
Did you figure out who you are?
I think I figured out who I am. And I'm like, I love playing music and I love doing that. But I mean, there's many things out there that are pleasurable,
Oh, yes. I know all about it.
So, yeah, I'm going to be busier than ever next year on the road, making up for lost time. But on the other hand, like I enjoy my life at home, too. So it's all about trying to find a balance for whatever you want to make your life.
The thing I love about Ecstatic Vision, whether there's 100 people in the crowd or 500, you just really seem to connect with people. Like there's always this group of people at the show who are just seriously vibing. And they're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I always love to see that. Do you feel that when you're performing?
Well, I think our band shreds live,
Yes.
And we do I love those guys, man. Like I have like so much love for them and just kind of like getting in the same room with them. It just makes me happy, So once you have that kind of connection with your bandmates and it's fun to do. And yeah, like we put a lot of work into the albums and we bring it live and yeah, we get that all the time. Like, oh, why aren't you guys more popular? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, I guess maybe because we're not like socially on social media, like super active. Like I don't have that in me, I just want to make good music,
You're just doing what you do and whatever the result is, that's it.
Exactly. And that's cool.
You seem to be involved in a lot of interesting things with this band. I see a lot of overseas tours. I see a lot of shows on beaches and all kinds of wild stuff going on. It seems like a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Ecstatic Vision, when we go to Europe, we have a lot of fun, man. Like, because like, it's like we're the kind of band where it's like, yeah, they put us on top of a mountain in the Alps and we play, and yeah, there might only be 150 people there or maybe 50 people or even less sometimes, but like we're playing these epic, we have these fans or people involved that like want to put us in this really epic place to play, like last time we were in Mexico, the guy down there is like, oh, I have this like, what do you call it? Like a pyramid. I want you guys to play on top of. I'm like, I'm down, man. Just fly us down. We'll play on top of a pyramid,
That's amazing. And I think Ecstatic Vision is the perfect type of band for that show. Because if it was like a hardcore band or an emo band, now, granted, I like those bands and that's fine. I don't know. It wouldn't be the same to see like an emo band on top of a mountain.
It's not as epic, but
No, it's like it always reminds when I see bands like that playing in like those kind of places. It always reminds me. Do you ever see that old Pink Floyd live in Pompeii?
yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like there's a fucking gong in the background, ruins all around. Like that always kind of makes me think like that's what that's fucking like, dude. It's fucking it's an epic band playing insanely like music that people vibe with in a fucking amazing location.
Yeah, it's good when you're on drugs, you want to go to this cool place and whatever, but yeah, that's another cool thing is like, we did okay in Europe. So every year we go back and it's fun to tour in Europe because, all the beer is there and you get put up. You don't have to worry about where you're sleeping at night. And it's an adventure.
You get put up? Like the promoters will get you a hotel?
Yeah. It's like, it's part of the deal, man. There's no like wondering about what you're going to do.
So I guess touring in Europe is better than touring here in America.
For me personally, yeah.
Yeah. That seems to be the consensus.
Everyone says it, yeah.
You ever get into any good trouble over there? Like you got any good stories for us about fights or drug deals or anything like that?
Usually I can't remember, Man, I know the first time we toured Europe, I had broken my hand like a month before, like kicking this guy out of the bar. And so I had a broken hand and I was like, oh man, like it really hurts to play guitar. But I'm not going to cancel,
Yeah.
So we go there and it was like, 3 weeks in, my hand's feeling a little better, but I still had kind of this like plastic kind of like casing around it. And like, that was like right when Trump became president and we were in Germany and this guy's like talking all this shit about Trump. I'm like, dude, why are you talking to me about Trump? I don't give a fuck. And I remember like turning to my bandmate, like, I'll use my broken hand as a club to club this motherfucker, Luckily, they're all much more peaceful and they're like, they can kind of like control me at a certain point. Like, let's go over here. Which is really great. Love those guys.
I love when you mix it up with people like that. One of the funniest things I ever saw. Here, let's tell some funny Doug stories here. I saw you guys at a knitting factory, and you were opening for somebody, and you jumped off stage, and like as you're casually singing the song, you're at the merch table thumbing through records, like in the boxes, as you're singing the song.
Wow, multi-talented.
That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
We always have a good time, you got to try and have a good time. Otherwise, what's the point?
And of course, the classic Doug story, which we've told multiple times on the show. There was a show at Palanca Park. Now, this is where, I don't know if you remember this, Doug. There was a show at Palanca Park. The Taco Bell you worked at was just up the road. So you had like a 15-minute break. So you drove over to the show, ran in your Taco Bell uniform holding a full fountain soda, ran into the pit, spin kicked like 3 people, and like threw the soda, and then you just casually walked out and went back to work.
Just another honest day, man.
My favorite story doesn't even Doug. I remember I had to call Doug and be like, "Yo, you know this girl? I got a job working for like 2 weeks. They only needed someone for a little while. There was like a main person at this veterinary clinic that needed extra help, and it was basically I worked in the morning and took the dogs out, and I would come back at night after all the veterinary staff left and took the dogs out. And there was this really pretty girl that worked there with me, and I remember coming in the one day, and she's like, "Oh, where do you go to high school?" And we're just like chit chatting. I was like. She goes, I go to Neshaminy. And I was like, oh, my friend Doug goes to Neshaminy. And she looked at me and she's like, what's his last name? I'm like, Sabolick. And she's like, fucking hate that kid. And I was like, why? I was like, he's funny as shit. And she goes, he gets out of class early and fucking drives all the way through the parking lot and won't let people go around him and holds up traffic for like half an hour so people can't leave campus. I was like, yeah, that sounds like him. She's like, that kid's a fucking dick. It's like, all right, well, I'm glad I'm leaving here in 2 weeks because apparently you don't like anybody I know.
Well, I've done some fucked up shit maybe, but that was a good time back in the day. That's true, yeah.
So you did hold up traffic in the Neshaminy parking lot?
Yeah.
Was there a reason that you did that, or was it just for your own personal enjoyment?
For kicks, man.
Let's talk about what you're up to now, Doug. Now, of course, the music industry was put on hold by COVID. We all know that. We've talked about it to death, so we're not going to do that again now. But things are opening back up now. What's going on? Are you writing for Ecstatic Vision? Do you have any shows coming up? Tell us what's brewing.
Yeah, we're gearing up for next year, and we have a new album. We're kind of finishing up now. We're going to record it soon, and we're going to Europe next summer for a while, and then do some shows in the fall. We're kind of gearing for that time frame, so we don't have any kind of issues as far as a pandemic. That's the main thing that's going on. And like, yeah, I got this like other hired gun position playing for this industrial band, which I don't really want to talk about because as far as like, disclosing, because if it doesn't happen, I kind of look like a chump. But I think that's going to happen, and I'm going to be on the road like a ton next year. So
sick.
Oh, that's exciting. Is it Ministry?
No, unfortunately. I do like Ministry though, but
That's the only industrial band I know, so.
Well, shit, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if that happens, it's like, I always kind of work to that point where I'm like, oh, I'm getting paid and I'm on the road. And, then it gets to a point where like, oh man, I really like my life at home, that I built. Then you're at this kind of crossroads and you're like, well, what do I do? That's kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm totally happy to like play some shows.
When was the last time you played a show?
I think, actually, Plaque Marks, we did a little tour in February of 2020. Like we went down to Miami. I don't know the point to go to Miami to tour, probably because they want to cook, So we went down there and did that, and I was the driver. But we did that, and then that was it,
I actually, the last live gig I went to was Plaque Marks in Brooklyn in 2019.
What a great night, right?
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, that's a very special night for me. I won't disclose why, but what a life-changing night for me. It was cool to see you. I always love that you are a true friend, and we've always kind of reconnected when we come through,
Yes, folks, if you don't know, Doug and I used to live together. We lived together from, I would say, 2007 to 2012. That's a long time. So we have a deep connection. We
know each other intimately.
Oh, yeah, and we knew each other a long time before that, too. But, Doug, describe your experience living with me. Was it fun? Was it scary? Did you think I was going to die at some point? I mean, I'm curious to hear about it from an outsider perspective.
Well, I would say that deep down, I think you have a great heart. Over anything, you are one of the people that I've kept close to me as far as a true friend. And you're a dependable friend. And yeah, as far as living with you, I mean, if you were struggling with drugs or whatever, yeah, I mean, like, be like up for 3 days and then down on Sunday and then like a mouse for 3 days. But you kind of always held it together with your job. So that's pretty impressive. You're like a superhuman.
Yeah. That's what I always said is like, I would watch Keith like do insane amounts of shit and then be like, oh, I got work tomorrow. I'm like, wait, how? Like, how are you going to work?
That's always the worst thing for me to hear, because when you guys are like, yeah, you were fine, like you went to work, I'm always like, maybe I could still do it.
Well, you look good now, man,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think many people saw the worst of it, because, by the end, when things weren't working anymore, I was pretty much just by myself. I kept it all hidden.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only scary thing is like, there was one time when I'm like, you did this little laugh. You're like, ooh. I'm like, wow, that was fucking creepy, man. That's when I knew shit was, going off the chains.
What laugh?
I don't know. I remember it was just like, I saw you and you were all fucked up. And you're like, I'm just going upstairs. I'm like, whoa. I don't know. It's a very telling laugh,
That sounds creepy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know who that guy is.
I have this memory when we were upstairs and you asked me to download this song because you were going to cover it for A Life Once Lost or something. So I'm at the computer looking it up and downloading it. And as I'm downloading it, I like passed out.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember you being like, Keith. And I was just like, boom, out.
Yeah, it was a killing joke, right?
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I mean, you seem great now, man.
Yeah, it's all good now,
I mean, life might be boring now, but...
Actually, not at all, because when you're in that state, it's very, very, very boring. You don't go anywhere. You don't do anything. You watch The Wire for the 40th time and sit on the couch, and that's it. And now I'm involved in shit all the time.
I've always been able to just kind of walk the line and then kind of like, I never went off the deep end, even though, like I don't drink liquor anymore. But besides that, I'm like, I've always just kind of partied enough to keep the dream alive, So it's kind of done me well, but I'm happy for you.
Doug, let's talk more about you. So we've got an Ecstatic Vision album coming out. We're excited about that, yes. We've got some touring next fall for Ecstatic Vision, yes.
Yes.
You may be joining forces with an unnamed industrial band, so we're looking forward to that announcement.
I mean, it's happening, but the thing is, like, I don't want to say it's happening, and it doesn't. I look like a dick,
No, like I'm surprised you're even saying this much, because I'm so paranoid about that stuff. I don't say a word until the ink is on the paper, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like so superstitious with that shit. I'm like, no.
I'm an open book, Keith.
Yeah.
I got nothing to hide.
I see that.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I do.
So what's going on with Plaque Marks? Now, we've spoken to several current and former members of the band. We spoke to Mike McGinnis. He's out of the band. We spoke to Pat Croxall. I think he said he wasn't sure what was going on exactly. Doug, tell us what's going on.
Well, shit, I don't know. We had an album done, and we were going to put it out, and I scored a deal, and then, Mike bailed, so I don't know. I'm not sure, but I am working on a new Plaque Marks album, so maybe the new one will come out before the old one, or maybe the old one never comes out,
The debut Plaque Marks LP, you're saying that might never come out, and we might just have another album.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, maybe. I'm working on one, yeah. I don't sleep, man. I'm always working on shit. And I love comedy, So, as you know, 'cause I used to watch your open mic comedies, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't comedy. That was an abomination. That was a man crying for help on stage.
I laughed.
So here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to check out Ecstatic Vision on our streaming platform of choice. We're going to purchase physical copies of the records to support our dear friend Doug Sabolick here.
Well, thank you.
We are going to await news of Plaque Marks, if the debut LP will ever see the light of day. We will see if the third, that's like the Deftones, like they shelved a whole album when the bass player died and they just moved on to the next album. It sounds like that might be happening. Who knows? We just don't know. And if there is ever in a Life Once Lost reunion, it sounds like Doug will not be part of that. He's busy with other things, and it is just not his focus at this time. Yes?
That's correct, Keith. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
It's like an official announcement right there. Jeez. Talk to my PR guy.
Yeah, is this a press release? What the fuck are you reading? Are you reading from something?
He's being a podcaster, man. He's just stirring it up.
Yeah, I got this shit down, man. I'm just flying off the seat here. I'm like a professional broadcaster now.
Yeah, are you using me to get, some kind of clicks or
no?
You already had that, man. Much more popular people than me.
Tommy, why don't you talk to Doug? You always have things to say.
Yeah, let's talk about your car.
Which one? Oh,
the one I titled.
Shit.
Wait, what happened?
Yo,
I totaled his car.
Oh, let's hear about this.
All right, so didn't you buy it from me and then
I was gonna buy it.
Oh, that's right.
You gave me a good deal. I think it was $150. It was like a Ford Tempo.
It was
right?
a gray Ford Tempo, yeah.
And yeah, I was like, you were going away to school, and I was like, I need a car, and you were like, I'll sell it to you for $150. I'm like, well, let me give it a test drive, right? Or were you just fucking around? You're like, oh, let me drive your car.
I think it might have just been the latter. I think it was just like, yo, you were like, oh, I might need a car, and I was like, here, fucking drive this one, see if you like it. And you were making that left off of Business Route 1 into the Great American Diner. And he pulled right in front of a fucking Corvette. That was making a right. And here's the thing. Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, it was Judge Kelly, right?
Judge Kelly. And the funny part was like the police showed up and we're like, yo, where's that dude that was in the front seat? Because remember, he had a guy.
He ran.
That guy ran the fuck away. He ran away. And we were like, oh, it was like this like young guy. Like, I mean, he wasn't like, okay, he wasn't like a 14-year-old, but he was like, like 19, 20-year-old dude. The dude fucking took off. We were like, where'd he go? And they're like, oh, he's the one that went inside to call the police. And I was like, well, he was here. He should be talking to the cops too. Like,
Yeah, it was very, very strange. I don't know. And also, I think that Corvette was going like 120 miles an hour.
dude, he's going so fast, and because I was right behind you, and then do you remember? I don't remember. I think it was your Volkswagen, the Scirocco. Did you have a Scirocco for a little while?
I had a Rabbit.
Rabbit, that's what. And he would we would be in traffic. We would drive somewhere, and we would drive separately, and I'd just be sitting at the light, and we would just hit each other's cars. Just fucking run into each other's bumper. Not hard, but like
that must have been my Golf because I wouldn't have fucked with the Rabbit. That was my baby. So it's probably the Volkswagen Golf.
Doug, you crashed Tommy's car during the test drive?
Well, yeah, I was gonna buy his car and I was driving around, and yeah, like I pulled in front of this Corvette and he fucking slammed us at like 120 miles an hour. I don't know if it's 120, but he was
going
hauling ass
so fast, dude.
And then like once he hit us, a guy got out of the passenger door and he ran.
I wonder what that was all about.
And it turned out the driver was the juvenile judge for Bucks County. Yep. So we were just like two 20 or 18-year-olds and like we didn't know shit, but it was weird.
So what was the resolution between you guys in the car?
I beat him for 150. I never bought it.
Oh,
it
so
was
you
total.
What you gonna do? Fucking buy a total car?
I would have bought a total car.
So you crashed the car on the test drive and then not give Tommy any money? Dude.
Well, why would I buy a total car?
My insurance covered it, and I think my insurance only went up by like $30 a month or something like that because the car was basically worthless.
So let's see, $30 a month times 15 years. All right, let's figure out. Tommy,
no. I dropped my insurance when I went to college anyway.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right,
so it might have cost me $60. I was about to leave. Like that's what I remember. Was like I was about to leave, and I was moving into the dorms, and there was no parking space. I couldn't get I couldn't have a car when I was
did
there.
him a favor, man.
Yeah.
Doug, I have a question for you that I just remembered. Now, for as long as I've known you, for as long as I can remember, you've been involved with music. You've been playing music. This was your thing. Was there ever a point in your life where you felt like you wanted to do something else?
No, I don't think so. But I realized that I could have done a lot of other things. You know what I mean? It's like, buying this house and rebuilding it pretty much. I'm like, oh, I could have just been a construction worker, really. I mean, I don't know. You can do anything, really, but you just kind of follow your dreams. But the thing about following your dreams with music is like, it's a long, hard road and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel. Because, I mean, even if you get in a really successful band, there's really a shelf life, you know what I mean? And then it's kind of like, okay, now we're going to do nostalgia tours. I'm like, oh, really? You want to be a 40-year-old guy playing nostalgia tours? I mean, that's not something I would ever want to be involved with because it's just not, I don't know. I guess the money would have to be really cool, but who wants to do that? I mean, at 40, I feel like that's when a guy just kind of hits his kind of, you're like a fine wine, man, At 40, you're like, you're killing it. Like my life is, so far my life is great. I mean, I don't know, but it only gets better.
Yeah, and I actually this just brought up my thought with this. I remember there was a point in time where you were at Penn State, and I remember you were going to get an internship at my mom's work. Do you remember that?
I remember maybe asking around.
Yeah,
about
I remember.
It.
I think you were asking my mom about like getting a job, and I was like, dude, don't do that job.
Well, yeah, I was in school for psychology. It's like, what job am I going to get with a bachelor's in psychology? It's like some worthless job that like sucks. I mean, I'm not talking smack about that. If that's what you have and you're working that job, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't really want to work like at a senior home or whatever, you know what I mean? I think that's good if you have that in your heart. You really want to help people, I mean, I like helping people, but I didn't want to do that job.
You didn't want to make a living doing it.
I wouldn't want to do it. I'd rather work at a bar and drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've had a great time, so.
Well, Doug, we've had a great time too. And listen, we want to thank you for finally coming on the show. It was really fun talking to you. It's always good to see you. It's always good to hear from you. So I just want to say thanks.
Well, thank you guys for doing it, man. I'm sure people really appreciate it, and you guys rock.
Thanks, brother.
there you have it, folks. Doug Sabolick. He's seen it all. He's done it all. And we heard about it all. That was a good conversation. And yeah, I mean, what can you say? He's just a really good friend. I've known him for a long time. I lived with him for a long time. Always a pleasure to see him. He's been a part of a lot of great music over the years. And I'm glad that we finally got him on the show. We have put together another piece of the puzzle of the Northeast, Tommy. I know the Northeast is not our sole focus anymore. However, Doug is a key interview in that process, and we got it done.
And like you said, like the seemingly like the ultra local stuff that we put on here seems to get a lot of the people that are listening to like kind of interact a lot more with the show.
Yes, you see, as we expand our ever-growing fan base and move into bigger and better... All right, I'm done. I don't want to go into like the marketing spiel.
The spiel.
Yeah. So thank you, Doug. Thank you for speaking with us.
Yeah.
It's good times. So what's up with you, man? You going to come to Furnace Fest with me?
No. No. I actually am kind of like thinking like who can I con into going with me on Thursday night to go see All Else Failed in Jersey.
Is that this Thursday?
Next Thursday, the 23rd, I believe.
Ooh, so you're going.
I'm trying to. I'm in the boat with you, though. I don't want to go by myself.
Here's the question. If you can't find somebody to go with you, will you go?
No, I won't.
Yeah, I understand.
Especially it being like a school night. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot in my head that's kind of like, no.
Yeah.
But, you know, knowing those guys and talking to them so much with especially with the show, like they will be around again. This is not something they're giving up anytime soon. This isn't the last opportunity I'm going to have to see All Else Failed. So I would love to go, but my real option is I'm going to call Gary and see what happens. Like that's my go-to. Like I'm going to call Gary and see if he wants to go. That's it.
Yeah, if I were in your situation, I would go. I know them well enough that I could go to the show and feel comfortable, but I would not go nuts if it was just me.
Yeah.
I think I would feel weird.
I think that's also kind of the reason you go to All Else Failed. It's like, it's to be with your friends and, you know, relive those kind of moments and have fun with it and have a great time and scream along with them. And by myself, I don't think I would be nearly as enthusiastic.
Well, Tommy, I hope that Gary goes with you. And if he doesn't, we will have another opportunity to see them, I'm sure.
That's the other thing I was saying was like, I know that they're not giving up on this thing anytime soon. So it's not going to be my last chance, but you know, anytime they play locally or even anywhere near me within an hour or two, I do like to go see them. Well, I was going to say, I saw, this kind of goes along the lines with the YouTube thing that you do with the YouTube comments.
Yes.
So my cousin tagged me in something today on Facebook, and it made me cry so hard by myself on the way home from work.
What was it?
So it's a video of this girl talking about how much she loved the movie Princess Bride with Mandy Patinkin, you know, and Inigo Montoya, right? And talking about how you know, her father had just recently died from a specific type of blood cancer. The name escapes me right now. And somehow they do like a split screen. It's her talking, and the other side of the screen is Mandy Patinkin and his wife sitting there watching the video, crying. And the story goes when he does that whole thing where he confronts the six-handed man, you know, at the end, like with that sword fight, and he's like, you know, you killed my father, now prepare to die, that kind of thing, right? The story goes is that Mandy Patinkin's father had just recently passed from cancer, and he was kind of like walking the grounds and like, you know, thinking about how he was going to play this scene. And he thought, you know, I'm going to pretend that this person that I'm about to fight is legitimately cancer. And I'm telling the cancer that killed my father, I'm going to kill you. And therefore, you know, enact my revenge on something that's, you know, inanimate and not something I can actually do. But this person could be a proxy for that. And I was just like, okay, I'm dying. I'm like I was sitting at a red light in Trevose by myself, like,
oh man, you're watching these videos while you're driving?
Yeah, because I have that display. I got the big display thing on my
Tommy. That's not a good idea. You shouldn't be doing that.
I was at a red red light.
Tommy, listen, I need you to do this show. If you're driving around watching videos, you're putting yourself at risk.
Look, it's better than what I used to do, which was look for tapes on the floor while lighting a cigarette and fucking making a left-hand turn across traffic and not really looking, like shit I did when I was 19. But no, this was a much more controlled burn. Let's put it that way.
Well, I hope so. So, folks, we're going to end with me asking you to support us. And I'm going to keep doing it until we get what we want. All right, so let's go through the checklist. 1, rate us on Apple Podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. We can't handle any less. Our egos are too fragile. 2, Apple Podcast reviews. Leave them. Leave nice ones. We'll read them on the show. Come on, you can do it. 3, subscribe to us on YouTube. We need more YouTube subscribers. Like the videos, comment on the videos. That all helps us. Follow us on Twitter, The NE Scene. Follow us on Instagram, The NE Scene. Write to us. We want to hear from more of you. northeastscene@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. I heard from some folks today. Oh, here's what we can do, Tommy.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you heard from some people, read it out.
Tyson Parker on Instagram says, "Yo, you guys seriously make my Mondays and start to the week so much better. You guys rule." I love that. You always hear people say that's why we do this, but that's what I envision. That's why I like podcasts. It's like friends to hang out with and listen to while you're doing whatever you're doing, working, driving, whatever. So the fact that this guy Tyson is listening to us and we are a bright spot in the beginning of his week, I love that, Tommy.
It is really nice, and it's nice to think that like somebody's working a job that they may or may not be like super invested in, and they're like, well, at least I can listen to Northeast Scene this morning.
Adam Harris. I hear from him a lot. He runs that Furnace Fest page on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
He said he really liked the episode with Ends of Sanity. Check out Beloved. If you haven't, they are reuniting for Furnace Fest. I haven't heard that band. Have you?
I got to look it up. There was 2 bands I added to a playlist, and I think one of them was Beloved. It might be. I think one of them was definitely Advent. No, it was Advent and Discourse. So no, I have not heard of them.
So we're going to check out Beloved. Oh, Tommy, I have a song recommendation for you. Oh, wait, you already heard it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, all right. This is my new favorite song. You ever hear a song, Tommy, and it's like, you feel like this song was written specifically for you?
Yeah.
All right, here it is. Greet Death. They have an album coming out on Death Wish.
Yeah.
The song is, Greet Death is the band. The song is called I Hate Everything. This is an incredible song. I listened to it like 10 times in a row that day. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, I thought you were going to play. I thought I was waiting for you to play the song.
What?
And then we were going to talk about it.
No, we don't do that.
I thought you were going to play it. Okay.
Tommy.
I like the song a lot. I didn't have you had like a real visceral reaction to it. I was like, oh, it's a great song. But that was kind of like the thing that I read back to you was like, I did not think Death Wish put out anything like this.
Right?
Yeah.
Greet Death. We love the single. Come on the show immediately. It's time. Come on. So there's a song recommendation for you. It's on our Spotify playlist. Ooh, the Northeast Scene 2021 Spotify playlist. We put all of our guests. We put other random stuff we like, including Greet Death. Go there and listen to the playlist. Come on, just do it.
Do it. Do it now.
Do it now. That's all I got. That's all I got. Those are all the words that I have for this week.
Okay, I want to make a suggestion for a clip that I want you to have ready.
I'm ready.
It's from Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
And whenever you say the don't leave less than 5 stars,
yes,
I want the old man that tricks Alex into coming into the house, and he's like, do you want some food? And he's like, no, my health won't allow it. I just want that when you're like, leave us 5 stars, please. No, my health won't allow it. I would love that. That would make my fucking
All right, I'm going to pull that for you. Well, that's it. Another episode of the Northeast Scene in the books. We hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Tommy?
Oh, I had a great time. I love talking to Doug, though.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is fucking best. He fucking rules, dude. He's so much fun. And you can't. I know we hit this a lot, but like he legitimately is one of the most genuine, nice, loyal people out there. Like
He really is.
I met Doug, I think, when I was 15 years old, and every time we get back together, it's like no time has passed. Like it's an immediate like back to fucking let's talk shit and have fun.
Yeah, he's one of those really old good friends where you just feel completely at ease, and there isn't too many of those.
No, not anymore.
Well, that's it. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with another new guest. I'm going to tease you a bit. And tell you that we have another new exclusive guest next week. You can keep guessing who it is until the episode posts, I guess.
Elton John.
One day, Tommy. All right, that's it. Thanks everybody for listening, and until next time.